Welcome. My name is Lorenz. This is System Self, and today we're talking about overcoming resistance. Put another way, doing what you don't feel like doing. If you are an entrepreneur or working for yourself or working on any sort of meaningful project, you will encounter things that you just don't feel like doing that need to get done. Many times, those things are the things between you and successfully accomplishing your objective. So, how do you overcome that? I love the story of the tortoise and the hare. Everybody knows this story, right? So the tortoise and the hare decide to race each other. The hare thinks it's hilarious that the tortoise thinks he has any chance of winning. So off they go. The hare speeds off into the distance and at some point decides, well, I'm so far ahead of the tortoise, I'm just going to take a nap here and relax. Now, of course, the tortoise is going step by step by step by step, and after a while passes the hare and crosses the finish line. The hare wakes up, speeds towards the finish line, and realizes it's all over. So let's deconstruct this story a little bit. Everybody wants to be the hare. Everybody wants to either be awesome at something or they're just a little bit cocky about how awesome they are. You know, many times we'll look at someone who is really good at something or they're a role model, they've achieved some sort of status in their life and they're like, wow, look at this person. I can never be like that. And what we miss is the journey that that person has gone through to get to where they are. One of the inspirations of my life is my mother. She's a great artist, a master, and she's been painting since she was 6 years old. And she tells me that when she was a child, she was never the best artist in the classroom. In fact, she would wake up in the middle of the night, and this is in Soviet Russia with a communal apartment with lots of families in a very small space, and she would wake up in the middle of the night to sneak into the bathroom and study books that she wasn't allowed to study and practice her skills. And this is commitment, right? To want something so badly, even if you're not the best at it, but to stay with it and practice it. And this is something that is so often missed when we look at other people that seem like they're just naturally talented at something. It can be very demoralizing almost to look at that and be like, oh, I can never be that way, right? But this is the tortoise mentality, is step by step, progress, not perfection. And it's very powerful to understand this. Progress, not perfection, because we're naturally inclined to be afraid of judgment, to be afraid of our own judgment, other people's judgment. So we want to deliver perfection. We want something to be really, really good. And many times that creates that resistance. It's either resistance because we don't want to work really hard on something that's maybe not that exciting. So it's something that requires a lot of intense concentration and it just doesn't feel that good, or it's resistance because we don't think we're going to be that good at it, or it's resistance because we're afraid someone else is going to judge us. But in any case, there's some sort of discomfort there, and being with that discomfort, like stepping into that, is the first part, recognizing it. Because until we recognize it, we're just on autopilot. We're subconsciously avoiding whatever we're avoiding. And when we can recognize that and consciously just be with it, experience that discomfort. So literally, maybe right now you're watching this video because you're distracted from something else you should be doing. Take a moment to just ask yourself, is there anything that you're avoiding? Is there anything that is just something on your list that needs to get done that for some reason, you keep finding reasons not to do it? And observe that. Observe what that feels like. You might bring awareness to what it feels like in your body. Is there some sort of physical sensation with it? Some sort of discomfort, because that's the discomfort you're looking for. There's a discomfort there that is causing you to avoid it, that is causing you to get distracted or procrastinate. Tune into that discomfort and be with it, embody it, right? Whatever it is, and step into it. Elon Musk shares this awesome story about how he overcomes fear. He says when he started SpaceX, he calculated that there was a 10% chance that it would be successful. But he felt so strongly about the necessity of space exploration for human progress that he thought that if he could move the needle even a little bit, then maybe another company could take over where he left off. Now there's two very powerful things here to understand. One is that he accepted the likelihood of failure from the beginning, right? This wasn't something to be anxious about. It was something to embrace and step into and be fully aware of and be fully okay with. And the second thing is that he saw his work as an act of service. This is profound, right? He saw his work as an act of service for humanity. This is something that was important enough to do, and he had commitment to that. So this is the simple of it. Whatever you're doing is what you're committed to. So if you're getting distracted and checking your email or checking social media or avoiding something, like whether you're consciously aware of of it or not, that's what you're committed to. You might be like, no, but I'm committed to accomplishing this. No, but actions reflect commitment. And so what you do is what you're committed to. And this is the key to overcoming resistance, is understanding that it doesn't involve any special technique. It doesn't revolve around how you feel. It revolves around what you do. There's a powerful quote shared by Nobel laureate William Faulkner. He says, "I only write when I'm inspired, and I'm inspired every morning at 9 a.m. Right? Doesn't matter how he feels. Doesn't matter what's going on. This is what he does. And many times for the most important things in our lives, the things that truly move us forward in our aspirations, maybe the things that are scary dreams that we have, that we really want, but they seem almost unattainable. It revolves around taking that step, stepping into the resistance, step by step by step, and just showing up. Progress, not perfection. It's such a critical thing to understand, because so many times we stop ourselves before we even try, right? Because we're living off of some sort of expectation or understanding from past experiences about what's possible, what's not possible, or whether or not we can or can't do this. If you're stepping forward and moving forward, that's all that counts. We live in a world where everything is moving so fast. We look at other people and they seem so much more successful or so much more competent, and we use that as a metric to judge ourselves, but none of it matters, right? The only thing that matters is that you're actually taking a step and moving forward in the direction that you want to be moving in it, and understanding that there's a subtle line between your preferences, between your likes and dislikes, and your reactivity to the things that are going around you, and your discernment, right? On the one hand, you have all these things that you're either like, oh, but I feel good like right now, I don't feel like doing this right now, or, you know, I like this, I don't like that. So all these identities and things going on that are always distracting you from understanding exactly what your purpose and your values are. And that's the discernment, that's the wisdom that is somehow at a level of awareness above all of that. And sometimes all the time, it takes a little bit of stillness to come back into that. And this is where the being, right? Coming into the being, whatever productivity technique you might be using, if it's not grounded in you being fully with yourself, everything that's there, then it's just another layer, right? You want to get underneath all that to connect with the being, what's coming up for you, any sort of fears or anxieties. And then from that place of discernment, deciding, okay, what do I choose to do? Where do I choose to take action, rather than what am I reacting to? This is a very, very powerful shift in orientation. So let's talk about a specific technique that you can use to actually move forward, particularly if you're trying to write anything. it's important to understand there's a difference between creating something and editing it. And this is something I've learned from some of the greatest writers in the world, is the difference between just letting something flow out, just getting a rough draft there, whether it's writing or whether it's some version of a project or something, just getting that initial version out, letting it flow out in whatever terrible state it might be. Nobody will ever see it. Nobody will ever see it. But once it's out, it's in a form, and then you can iterate and edit on top of it. This is such a powerful concept to understand, is that getting that first skeleton structure out is one of the hardest parts. And if you try to mix creation and editing in the same movement, it becomes much harder. It becomes virtually impossible. This one insight has transformed the way I do everything. Just get a rough draft out, let it flow out, set an intention that you're going to just push out and create whatever you're going to create. Create it, leave it alone, come back, edit it, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. You will be amazed at how much you produce. Another powerful technique: turn off anything non-critical on your phone, any sort of notification. There are enough distractions in the world between email and everything going on in your life. There is no reason you should be getting random notifications about news articles or Twitter posts or Facebook posts or whatever. Turn it all off. It is all crap that is eating up your attention, and the most valuable thing that you have is your attention. This is something that you should be protecting like your most valuable asset, and understanding that if you don't do that, it will get consumed. If you don't be intentional about how you work with your attention and your boundaries, those boundaries and your attention will inevitably be crossed. And this really begins with your relationship to your phone, to your email, to social media, understanding how you can minimize those things as much as possible. Create some time in the day, or check your phone whenever you check it, but turn off all the notifications. They're unnecessary. And another powerful technique is something called the Pomodoro timer. This is something you can Google, Pomodoro, like tomato, timer technique. The gist of it is that you create increments, time blocks of concentration. So like 25 minutes where you set a timer and there is nothing else you do but the task at hand. Then you take 5-minute break and then you repeat it. So 2 cycles in 1 hour, really powerful way of getting things done. Now, those are techniques. The strategy is understanding that it revolves around building a relationship with discomfort. Whenever you find yourself procrastinating something or avoiding something, try to become aware of that and step into it. Just be with it and step into that discomfort, right? Step by step by step. Over time, those steps are meaningful progress. When we create these meaningful goals for ourselves, many times they seem so big that they're untenable. They seem almost impossible. How do I get from there to there? Well, the journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first step, and then it's 999 steps later, and that's exactly what the tortoise does. So I look forward to seeing whatever you accomplish in your life. This is System Self, where my commitment to you is subtle insights that generate significant results. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with a friend, anybody you know who tends to get distracted or maybe isn't as focused as they could be. You know what? It's just a practice. It's just a practice of identifying discomfort and really seeing that as energy, right? It's just energy that needs to be channeled and transmuted into a way that it can serve you in getting to where you want to go. We are always becoming. We are always in a process of becoming, and the mastery is in doing that with intention, is in choosing what we want to become and living into that future. I look forward to our conversations in the future. Much love.